Part of what I wanted to say I couldn't deliver, I didn't know anyway.
Such a bittersweet taste, such a perfect waste, all hiding in the back of my conscious state.
This is a tale of hearts.
Scary, right?
Yeah.
Hunter, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, man. I like to write.
A writer who doesn't drink must be awful.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's gonna be alright. I'm not the only one that's concerned about you. You're gonna be okay.
So I'm now joined by director Jason Zavaleta, who's come all the way from LA for this International Film Festival, and we've just seen your fantastic film, I Wrote This For You. Now, what inspired the story?
Oh gosh, well, so I didn't write it myself. Brendan Keelcook, who is also the lead in the film, wrote the script. We had discussed doing a film about poetry a little bit prior to him writing it, but he had actually been keeping a journal of, as a server and an actor in Los Angeles, he was keeping this journal of things that would just happen in his life throughout Los Angeles, and he was trying to piece these little bits of experience into a through line, and then through between those notes and the story of the poetry, and kind of working with his relationship background and my relationship background, we kind of pieced together this story and worked it together, and it's what it became.
Well, it's fascinating because I think everyone can relate to this a little bit, you know, whether you've gone through a grief in the sense of a death of a loved one, or grief as a relationship, you know,
Sure.
Your mind unravels, you don't feel quite sane, you're losing grip on reality.
Right.
So what was it about the relationship itself that would make him want to do good things? Or why was that a thing that came about?
The doing good things. You know, I think when we experience loss, and when we're trying to recover and be our best self, that there's a desire to constantly be improving, and so that improvement idea, I'm not sure for exactly where Brendan came up with the idea for the calendar itself. Although that the smile cards, which are the cards that Gary, the homeless man, has, that we also put into the film, those were something that were a social experiment that I had. Someone had given them to me many years ago, and this concept of playing cards that have these random acts of kindness that you do for yourself or for other people, and that you could play with them as cards, or you could pull one, you know, from the deck, and you could do whatever it is that it said on there. Either it was something for you, or something in your relationship, or something you in the world, right? It was kind of like these different categories. And so we kind of worked these ideas into the film, and with this sense of wanting to communicate to the audience that it's important that we're constantly growing, and we're constantly trying to help each other. It can be easy, like Hunter did in the film, to get trapped inside one's own emotions and experience, and not necessarily want to explore outward into the world that's around them, and the people who they have connected with, and the people who they have yet to meet. And that was also part of it too. You see Hunter interact with these people throughout the film, just casually in various random circumstances. Just the beautiful nature of the people that come and go, you know, and acknowledging that there's beauty in not just our really deep, emotional, powerful relationships, but also in the fleeting moments, in the passing, in the short-lived experiences as well. And that's what I really kind of wanted the audience to find a balance between, is the deep memories that they carry, but then also this, well, if you just meet someone on the street, you know, you can have a really beautiful encounter, and it can really touch you.
Well, you have that sort of aspect of everyone has this impact and it creates a ripple effect. they're almost like tourists that are travelling into his life. And what's quite interesting though is that although he's connecting with these people, he's also quite passive to it at the same time, because he's still extremely trapped in his own head. That he hasn't quite got this grip on reality. But what do you think the purpose was of Phoenix, a girl coming into his life? Because that has a real profound effect, and he doesn't quite realise it at first, does he?
No, not at all. I mean, and Phoenix was one of those characters that, I mean, I think, I don't know, I'm speaking for myself, I have someone in my life who was like that, who just kind of came in, blew everything up, kind of set a fire under me, and I didn't know how to deal with it, really. And because I was dealing with a lot of things internally, I don't think I could really commit my whole being to developing the relationship in whatever capacity that really could have been. And that is what I in directing the scenes of Hunter and Phoenix, it kind of translated that. But I mean, we always knew we wanted to do kind of a spin-off on a traditional love story. And so everyone who sees the film for the first time constantly has this expectation that Hunter and Phoenix are going to end up together.
I did. I had to hold my hands up. I was like, oh, it's a love story. And it's very ambiguous, actually, at the end.
Yes, indeed it is. And that's exactly what I wanted. Because you can have really beautiful love stories that are really not complete or really fulfilling in that way. There's a lot of people have said who love traditional love stories and old Hollywood. They go, I really just don't like that they don't end up together. And I go, well, that's life.
That's true, and actually a lot of other films, like even the likes of La La Land or 500 Days of Summer, you know, they also set up that expectation, and you get that sort of bitter disappointment at the end to know they're not together. But actually, it leaves your imagination running, because life is, like you say, it's not always perfect like that.
No.
But also it just puts a different angle, and in a way makes the whole thing much more memorable than just another sort of sugary love tale, you know. Oh, she comes along, she saves him, but she doesn't save him, she just has an impact.
Yes, yeah, and that was really the whole point, was that relationships don't save us, we save ourselves, which is why the last scene focuses on his name on the calendar, and he wrote it himself. So even though these memories and this previous relationship is still very much part of him, he's chosen to take a step forward for himself. He's chosen to speak again, to find his voice again, to get on the stage and perform his poetry. You know?
I guess it's finding purpose, because doing good things for other people finds a purpose, but actually it's not just about doing good things for other people, it's about actually him finding his identity again, I guess.
And expressing, and being able to speak. The whole film, everyone else is up there performing and sharing really authentically their experiences and who they are. And Hunter's just not doing it. And he's writing and he's trying and he's trapped. You know, that was one of the things that we were looking at, is the nature of how pain can jail our experience and prevent us from truly experiencing the world around us and the full breadth of our emotion, because we're choosing to focus on this one bit of pain and suffering that is really just going to limit us, you know. Wanted to examine that.
But you have to sometimes go through those emotions to then come out the other end, which is clearly what
sure.
he's doing. So from a cinematography point of view, how did you meet the challenge of having to depict what was going on in his mind, these funny little bits of like the musical that he's dreaming up, and you know, someone shooting him, and all these things where as a viewer you're like, oh, we're not sure if this is actually real, and then, oh wait, no, it's one of his dreams. But how did you meet that challenge of trying to portray what was going on in his mind?
Yeah, I mean, Fabienne Hosepian, the cinematographer, her and I go back to undergraduate school of cinema together, and we hadn't worked together in many years, but when I asked her to come onto this project, we had many detailed conversations about what the look of this film is. And, there's been a lot of commentary because unlike most films that are being done today, which tend to favor a lot of movement, a lot of depth, I got checked by her quite often when I would request, more shots that would kind of get into the world. And she really challenged me to examine, with the language of cinema, how Hunter is trapped in his world. And so she sort of proposed this language of the film being shot very flat, almost like paintings, and that Hunter's position in these paintings was always going to be correlated to either where he was or with whom he was interacting, whether it was his past with Ariana or his sort of present and future with Phoenix. So when he's interacting with Phoenix, he's always facing from the left side, looking to the right, from the past to the future. With Ariana, he's always on the right side, looking at her to the other way, because she's in the past. And so this constant portraiture of Hunter's mind, I really loved that she proposed this to me, and it provided a lot of challenge, actually, because when I wanted to do a shot, she would always have to check me to make sure that he was going to be on the proper side of the frame, depending upon where he was. Was he by himself? Was he with Ariana? Was he with Phoenix? Every single person, minus Ariana, he's always on the left side looking right.
So the viewer actually subconsciously takes us in, and that's so fascinating, because unless you pointed it out, I wouldn't have necessarily noticed that. But actually, you process it subconsciously as you're watching it as a viewer.
Yeah.
There's also a fantastic soundtrack, I have to say, running throughout the film. Now, how did you curate these fantastic songs? Or were they written for the film, or did you
a bit of both.
Search them? Or?
Yeah, a bit of both. So the sound design and most of the music was done by a childhood friend of mine, Connor Arias, and he has a music producing background, mostly in electronic music, and the world of LA is constantly filled with this sound, and the process of blending his mind with the world, with the environment of the poetry and of the bar and all these locations, So really the idea behind all the sound was build the world and let you kind of experience when you're in the world and when you're in Hunter's head. And so when you're in his head, a lot of things disappear, a lot of the mid-tones kind of disappear, and everything kind of becomes very spacious and airy and
cerebral,
echoey. Yeah. And then you can hear it in this particular screening because we didn't have the rear speakers in 5.1. But when you hear it in 5.1, the opening of the film, right, is this argument between Hunter and Ariana in this sort of black cerebral space, and there's like the central channel, but in each channel, front left, back left, right left, there's this. Each conversation is different. So depending on where you are in the room, you hear different things. And this was sort of a design to be in that headspace of, like, you never really kind of get to choose what happens in your head. It just kind of pops up,
yeah.
And you go,
even when you don't want it to.
and you're like, oh, there that is. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait. This constant back and forth in the mind, and pulling us in and out. So there are many audio cues that sort of indicate, even though we shot to make it look like everything was the same, regardless of the dream or the reality, there are sounds that are only existent in the reality. There's a ticking clock. So the clock is only heard in reality, because that's where time exists.
But in his head,
There's no
no clock.
You never hear a clock in his head, because time is relative in the dream state.
And I mean, again, from the cinematography point of view, you know, he has shots where there's sort of an overlay of him in, you know, in his bedroom where he's getting changed, but there's several of him at the same time, you know. Was that to kind of indicate the passing of time and the monotony of doing the same thing every day, or, you know?
That particular shot at the end, that was actually just to show him going through the process of getting comfortable. You notice that Hunter always left his clothes on whenever he was getting into bed, constantly, always just like jeans and his t-shirt, like never really got comfortable. So it wasn't until the end of the film that he actually removes some of that weight and actually gets comfortable in his bed when he's kind of found his voice again.
So letting the layers come down again.
Yeah, exactly.
So what plans have you got coming up with this film? So we're seeing it here at the International Filmmaker Festival. You were nominated at the GMAs here in London. You had several nominations and awards. What do you see for the future of this film?
Well, we just launched on streaming platforms in the United States, and we're in the middle of figuring out what our international distribution is going to be over here and in Europe and further east. So there's a lot. At the end of this screening, someone said, this would be a really cool TV show. And for about 10 seconds I went, I wonder what that would look like. But then it really started to dawn on me that it could be a really cool TV show because this whole world of independent artistry in LA that no one really focuses on. Everyone really wants to focus on the studios and, you know, the big things and, you know, what La La Land did. But this could be a really cool opportunity to kind of explore that. So, I mean, I don't know if I would do it myself because I've got a lot going on, but I would love to get a team of emerging artists together and, you know, maybe see if there's a television version of this that could be done or something.
It's interesting to do it the other way around because often you get the TV show and then you get the big film.
Yeah.
But to have the film and then a TV show off the back of it, that's more an unusual way of doing things. But actually, there's no reason why that couldn't be done. But sometimes though, you have something that works as a one whole piece, and you don't want to necessarily tamper with that either. Because that you know, as a standalone piece, this is already great. But it's great that you're opening up the imagination of your viewers to look at it differently and see potential there.
Yeah.
So just to conclude this interview, it's been really great chatting to you.
Yeah.
What do you want people to take away from this film? You know, when people watch this, what do you want them to think about when they go about their day-to-day life?
Well, I mean, number one of the things that I have been receiving a lot from when people see the film is people share with me the person who they've lost and who they remember and who that person is for them and that memory that they carry around, whether it is that loved one who has passed away or a friend who's passed away or just someone who's not in their life anymore. So, you know, I would really love if the audience would consider who these people who are not with them anymore and let all those memories empower you and fuel you and let every experience, relationship that comes and goes empower you. And then, you know, not to forget that it's okay to not be okay.
It's a big one.
the film really came. I did it at a time where I was really suffering through an episode of some serious depression, and I realized that I needed to experience that, and there's a lot of challenge in this world to constantly present as the best and the happiest of everything all the time, and that's simply not life. And so just experience your feelings, experience the breadth of emotion, and let yourself grieve and recover and grieve and recover and experience it, and don't force it away. And
so it's really alternative Hollywood, isn't it? It's actually life doesn't have to be perfect. Just embrace the chaos of it all.
Embrace it and let it guide you on your journey. You know, it's the emotion and the experience is the waves of the sea of life, and you're on your boat, and people will get on and people will get off, and
I love that. The sea of life.
Sail
The boat.
away.
Sail away. Well, thank you so much for talking to
Thank
us,
you.
and best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Take
Thank you
care.
so much.
So what do you do? I do good things.
I'm here on the largest of the Balearic Islands, Mallorca, with the turquoise waters of the Mediterranean Sea, beautiful mountainous landscape, the thriving city of Palma, quaint little market towns, a growing number of luxury hotels. It's no surprise that the likes of Audrey Hepburn and Elizabeth Taylor like to holiday here. So come and join me as I take you round Mallorca.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. If you like this video, be sure to click that thumbs up button at the bottom of your screen. And also be sure to subscribe to the Fan Carpet YouTube channels. They're absolutely free and so much fun too. Be sure to check out the official website, thefancarpet.com. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date with reviews, competitions, the latest news, and so much more.